Imagine this for a moment. You are a man over 60, lying in bed at night, the lights turned off, your partner resting beside you, and deep inside, you want to feel that same spark of strength you once had. Yet when the moment comes, nothing happens. The body hesitates, the energy fades, and disappointment takes its place. You might think this is just age, just destiny, but what if I told you that a big part of this struggle has nothing to do with your years, and everything to do with what you eat at night? Yes, the very food you put on your plate before going to sleep could be silently stealing your erections, your energy, and even your confidence as a man. I am Dr. Helena Mora, a urologist who has dedicated decades of my life to helping men just like you reclaim their vitality, their masculinity, and their dignity. And today, I want to look you straight in the eyes and tell you a truth most doctors won't dare to say out loud. There are certain foods you eat in the evening that shut down your circulation, drain your testosterone, and leave you weaker in the most intimate moments of your life. The worst part? These foods disguise themselves as innocent, everyday meals. Things you may have been consuming for years, believing they were harmless, maybe even healthy. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer honestly in your own heart. When was the last time you felt fully alive in your body, with a firm, lasting erection that gave you confidence and joy? If it feels like decades ago, if it feels like a fading memory, I need you to know, it does not have to stay that way. I have seen countless men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s rediscover the strength of their youth, and much of it began with something as simple as changing what they ate at night. Now, I know the frustration. Society tells us, "You're old, deal with it." Friends joke about pills, about age, about decline. But deep down, you don't want jokes, you want answers. You want to know why your body doesn't respond the way it should. And tonight, I am giving you those answers. Because the truth is that your body is not failing. It is being sabotaged. Sabotaged by habits, by hidden enemies in your food, and by misinformation that has been repeated so many times you stopped questioning it. Picture this. One of my patients, a 64-year-old man, sat across from me in tears. He told me how he felt ashamed, how his partner turned away at night, and how his confidence was crushed. He believed he was broken. But after I examined his lifestyle, I found the culprit. Every night, before bed, he was eating something that was literally destroying his blood flow. Within 3 weeks of removing it from his routine, his erections returned stronger than he imagined possible. His eyes lit up, his smile returned, and his marriage began to heal. That, my dear listener, is the kind of transformation I want for you. And it starts here, tonight. So let me make this clear. The foods you eat after the sun goes down could either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. You may think it's harmless comfort. You may think it helps you sleep. You may even think it's healthy because someone told you so. But what if I showed you that these very foods are blocking your circulation like cement in your arteries, numbing your nervous system, and draining the hormones that fuel your desire? What if the reason you wake up tired, sluggish, and powerless is not age at all, but dinner? What if your plate is the thief of your manhood? This is why I urge you, do not turn away, do not click away, and do not let this moment pass. Because what I am about to reveal could change the way you look at your meals forever. And more importantly, it could bring back something priceless, the strength, the intimacy, the fire inside you that makes you feel like a man again. Tonight, I will tell you exactly what to avoid eating, why it is hurting you, and what simple adjustments can bring back the powerful erections and vitality you thought were gone forever. But before we go deeper, I want you to hold on to this thought. You are not powerless and you are not doomed. I have seen too many men rise again, men who were convinced it was over, men who were ready to give up. If they could reclaim their strength, so can you. And it all begins with uncovering the truth that has been hidden in plain sight. Your nightly meals may be the silent enemy standing between you and the life you still deserve to live. You have already felt the weight of my words, and perhaps your heart beats a little faster now, wondering if what I said could truly be the key you've been searching for. And I assure you, it is. Because tonight, I will open your eyes to something that has been hidden for far too long. You will discover exactly why certain foods, especially those you eat in the quiet hours of the evening, are crippling your erections and draining your masculinity. And more importantly, you will learn what to do about it. But here is my promise to you. By the end of this video, you will not only know which foods to avoid at night, you will also discover the surprising adjustments that can restore your strength, rebuild your confidence, and reignite your intimacy in ways you may not have believed possible. Think of it as a roadmap back to your own power, one that I, as your guide and as your doctor, will walk with you step by step. Now I could simply hand you a list of foods and say, "Here, don't eat this." But that would not be enough, because the truth is, understanding why these foods are harmful is just as important as knowing what they are. When you understand the mechanism, when you see how your body reacts, you are no longer a passive victim. You become an active participant in your own healing. That's why I will explain how these foods silently sabotage your circulation, your hormones, and even your brain chemistry, leaving you weaker when you need to be strong. And here's where I ask you to trust me, because I will not only point out the enemy, I will also show you the allies. Yes, there are specific adjustments, certain powerful choices you can make at night that will begin to turn the tide in your favor. I've seen men who thought they were finished, men who sat in my office ashamed and defeated, rise up again simply by embracing these changes. Their faces lit up with pride, their relationships transformed, and their lives took on a new brightness they thought had been lost forever. But let me keep a secret between us for a moment, because what I will reveal at the very end of this video is something I rarely share outside my private consultations. A hidden truth about one food, in particular, that men over 60 often believe is harmless, or even beneficial, that in reality is one of the worst culprits in destroying their erections at night. This is the food that shocked my patients the most when I told them, and when they removed it, the difference was undeniable. I want you to stay with me until the end, because once you hear this, you will never look at your dinner plate the same way again. But for now, let's keep this promise alive. Tonight, I will give you clarity. You will walk away knowing which foods rob you of your manhood, which changes bring it back, and why time is still on your side. You are not too old, and it is not too late. The body you live in still responds, still fights for you, still wants to give you strength and passion. All it needs is the right fuel, the right choices, and the right knowledge. And that is what I am here to deliver. So imagine this. A few weeks from now, you lie in bed again. But this time, instead of hesitation and disappointment, your body responds with power, with certainty, with the kind of energy that makes you feel alive again. Your partner looks at you not with pity or frustration, but with desire. And you, for the first time in years, smile with confidence. That future is not a fantasy. It is the reward waiting for you on the other side of the changes we are about to uncover. Stay with me. Let your curiosity grow, let your hope rise, and let me guide you. Because at the end of this journey, the promise I made will become your reality. Stronger erections, renewed vitality, and the return of the man you thought you had lost. I know what it feels like to carry the weight of 60 years on your shoulders. The world tells us we should slow down, accept decline, and surrender to the idea that our best days are behind us. But let me tell you something from both my heart and my years of practice as a urologist. Age does not define your manhood. What defines you is your willingness to take care of yourself, to make changes, and to refuse to let your body wither in silence. I have seen men in their 60s and 70s rediscover the fire of their youth, and I want the same for you. When I speak to you, I don't do it as a stranger. I do it as someone who has sat across from thousands of men in my office, listening to their fears, their regrets, and their quiet desperation. I have seen the pain in their eyes when they confessed that intimacy had vanished, that they no longer felt desirable, that their confidence had slipped away. These conversations were never about vanity. They were about identity, dignity, and love. And that is why I take this subject so seriously. Because your erections are not just about sex. They are about your health, your blood flow, your heart, your hormones, and ultimately your quality of life. One patient comes to mind. Let's call him João. He was 67, a retired teacher, married for over 40 years. When he first came to me, he lowered his voice, embarrassed, and said, "Doctor, I don't feel like a man anymore." His wife had stopped reaching for him at night, not out of lack of love, but because disappointment had built a wall between them. He believed the only solution was pills, temporary fixes that made him feel dependent and broken. But I knew better. I looked at his lifestyle, his habits, and especially his nightly meals. And what I found was clear. The very foods he thought were comforting him were in fact strangling his circulation and killing his erections. When he changed, within a month, he came back with tears of joy. He held his wife's hand, and she looked at him with renewed affection. That transformation was not magic. It was science, and it is available to you too. I share this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I know this journey. I have studied men's health for decades, and I have dedicated my career to understanding the intricate ways the male body changes with age. Testosterone begins to decline, blood vessels lose elasticity, stress hormones rise, and years of silent damage accumulate in the arteries. But none of this means the end. It simply means you must become more deliberate, more strategic, more aware of what enters your body. That's where I come in, to guide you, to give you clarity, to hand you the tools you need. As a doctor, I can tell you with absolute certainty, your body still wants to fight for you. I've seen men who felt hopeless discover a vitality they never expected. Men who thought they were too old to change find themselves stronger than they were a decade before. The key is not in denying your age, but in respecting your body's needs. And one of the most overlooked needs is the way you fuel yourself at night. I want you to understand this. You are not alone. Every man over 60 faces these challenges. I speak not only as your doctor, but as your ally. I know the shame you may feel, the frustration when your body doesn't respond, the silent fear that maybe your partner thinks less of you. But I am here to tell you, it is not weakness to seek answers. It is courage. And right now, watching this video, you are already proving you are not ready to give up. So let us walk this path together. Trust in my words not because I say them, but because they are grounded in medicine, in science, and in countless real transformations. I am not here to scare you, but to empower you. Because the truth is, you still have choices, you still have control, and your story is not over. And as we continue, I will show you exactly how to take that control back, starting with the foods that have been silently betraying you every night. When a man crosses the threshold of 60, his body begins to whisper truths that cannot be ignored. The whispers come in the form of fatigue, slower recovery, diminished desire, and yes, erections that are no longer as strong or as lasting as before. Many men shrug and say, "It's just age," but as your doctor, I must tell you, that explanation is incomplete. What happens inside your body after 60 is not simply a number on a calendar. It is a series of changes in hormones, blood vessels, and nerves that determine how well you live, how deeply you love, and how confidently you carry yourself. Let me break it down in a way that makes sense. Erections are not created in isolation. They are a reflection of your entire health. They depend on blood flow, testosterone, nerve sensitivity, and psychological confidence. When even one of these pillars is weakened, the entire structure begins to collapse. And after 60, all of them face new challenges. Testosterone, the hormone of vitality, declines naturally with age. For some men, it drops gradually. For others, it plummets more sharply. This decline doesn't just affect desire, it also weakens the very tissues that sustain erections. Without enough testosterone, your muscles lose strength, your energy wanes, and your sense of manhood feels dimmed. But hormones are only part of the story. Circulation, the lifeblood of erections, is often the silent culprit. After years of hidden damage from diet, stress, and lifestyle, the arteries that once carried blood easily to every part of your body, including your most intimate areas, begin to stiffen and clog. Think of them like old pipes in a house, once smooth and clear but now narrowed and hardened. When blood cannot flow with power, your erections cannot rise with power. It is not a matter of will, it is biology, and here is where food plays a decisive role. The meals you choose at night when your body is preparing for rest can either heal or harm these delicate vessels. Some foods trigger inflammation, raise blood sugar, and spike insulin, all of which damage your arteries while you sleep. Others flood your body with bad fats that thicken your blood and reduce circulation. Every bite you take becomes either a medicine or a poison, and over the years, that choice shapes the strength of your manhood. But there is another layer, one many men overlook: the nervous system. Erections depend on signals sent from your brain to your body, signals that require balance and sensitivity. Yet when you eat poorly at night, you disrupt this balance. Heavy, greasy, or sugary meals at dinner time cause sluggishness in your nervous system. They make your brain foggy, your sleep restless, and your body unresponsive. By the time you reach for intimacy, the connection between your mind and your body is dulled. And if this continues unchecked, the consequences are not only emotional, but also medical. Weak erections are often the first warning sign of serious conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. Your body is not just telling you about your intimacy, it is warning you about your life. Ignoring this sign can mean ignoring a ticking clock inside your chest. That's why when men tell me, "Doctor, my erections are not the same," I don't just think of sex, I think of survival. Now let me say this with care. None of this means the story is finished. I have watched men reverse years of damage by making simple, deliberate changes. But first, you must face the truth. If you continue to eat the wrong foods at night, if you dismiss your body's signals as just age, you are inviting decline to accelerate. You are allowing your arteries to stiffen further, your testosterone to weaken unchecked, and your nerves to lose their spark. And soon, what is now frustration can become permanence. But if you choose to act, if you choose to see food not just as pleasure but as power, everything changes. You can restore blood flow, support your hormones, and reignite your nervous system. Your body is waiting for you to choose wisely. And that choice begins with awareness. Awareness of the problem and awareness of the price of ignoring it. So let me be clear. After 60, erections are no longer automatic, but they are far from impossible. They are the reflection of your health, your habits, and your willingness to adapt. And tonight, I will guide you through those adaptations. I will show you which nightly foods rob you of strength and which choices can bring it back. Because decline is not destiny, not if you are willing to fight for yourself. Now that we've opened the door to understanding the problem, it's time to step inside and face the real enemies that have been stealing your strength each night. This is the moment where clarity replaces confusion and where your choices begin to hold new power. Because what I will share with you now are not abstract theories. They are truths I've seen play out in the lives of countless men who sat in my office with the same concerns you carry in your heart today. The first truth is about heavy, greasy dinners. Many men believe that eating a large, rich meal at night helps them relax, sleep better, or feel satisfied. But in reality, these meals do the opposite. When you load your plate with fried foods, red meats cooked in excess oil, or processed snacks late in the evening, your body does not rest. It fights. Your digestive system struggles, your arteries are flooded with unhealthy fats, and your blood becomes sluggish. Blood that should flow with ease to your heart and your manhood becomes thick, slow, and heavy. The result? Weak circulation, restless sleep, and a body unprepared for intimacy. I recall a patient, Roberto, who insisted that his nightly tradition of steak and fries was harmless. But when he shifted to lighter, cleaner dinners, grilled fish with vegetables, for example, his energy returned, his sleep deepened, and within weeks, his erections were firm again. The food had not just filled his stomach, it had restored his power. The second truth lies in sugar. Sweet desserts, late-night chocolates, even what seems like a harmless bowl of fruit juice or a soda before bed, all of these flood your body with sugar at the very moment it should be winding down. High sugar spikes insulin, which in turn damages your arteries and lowers testosterone over time. And yet, many men cling to sugar for comfort, believing it gives them energy or calms their nerves. The opposite is true. I once treated a man who ended every dinner with ice cream, telling me it was his reward for the day. But that reward was slowly robbing him of his erections. When he finally gave it up, his morning strength returned, his waistline shrank, and he told me he felt like 20 years younger. Sugar is not a harmless indulgence. It is a silent thief. The third truth is alcohol at night. I know many men see their evening drink as a companion, a glass of wine, a shot of whiskey, a cold beer. And yes, in moderation, alcohol can relax the mind. But for men over 60, the effects are far more dangerous. Alcohol suppresses testosterone, weakens nerve responses, and dehydrates your body, making blood flow more difficult. It gives the illusion of confidence, but in the most important moment, it betrays you. I remember Carlos, a 70-year-old who confessed that every time he drank before intimacy, his erections vanished. When he stopped drinking at night, the difference was immediate. He looked at me with surprise and said, "Doctor, I thought alcohol made me a man, but without it, I finally feel like one again." And let me add another truth, one that many men overlook. Late night eating itself, no matter what the food is. When you eat right before bed, your body must focus on digestion instead of restoration. Growth hormones are suppressed, sleep becomes shallow, and testosterone levels drop. Men who snack late, whether it's bread, cheese, or even fruit, often wake up tired, groggy, and powerless. When these same men shifted their dinners earlier and allowed their bodies to rest at night, they found not only stronger erections, but also sharper minds and lighter moods. The timing of your food is as important as the food itself. Now here is where the real transformation happens. When you remove these enemies, heavy dinners, sugar, alcohol, and late-night snacks, you don't just avoid harm. You open the door to healing. Your arteries begin to clear, your testosterone rises, your nerves sharpen, and your sleep deepens. These changes do not take years. They can begin in days and in weeks. The results become undeniable. Men who once felt defeated stand taller, smile wider, and hold their partners with new confidence. And let me dispel a myth while we are here. Many men believe they need expensive pills or complicated treatments to restore their erections. While medical interventions have their place, the truth is that most of the power lies in your daily choices. Food is not just fuel, it is medicine. And when you treat it as such, your body rewards you with strength, vitality, and the ability to love fully again. So remember this. Every time you sit down to dinner, you are choosing your future. You are either feeding the fire of your manhood or extinguishing it bite by bite. The choice is in your hands. And as your doctor, my role is to make sure you choose wisely, because I know what awaits you on the other side: confidence, intimacy, and a renewed sense of life itself. And now we arrive at the moment you have been waiting for, the truth I promised to reveal from the very beginning. You've learned about the heavy meals, the sugar, the alcohol, the late-night snacks, all of them enemies that rob you of your strength when you need it most. But there is one food in particular that men over 60 often believe is harmless, even beneficial, yet it is one of the worst culprits of all. I have seen it over and over again in my practice, and tonight I will tell you what it is. That food is white bread. Simple, ordinary, innocent-looking white bread. Men eat it at night thinking it's light, easy to digest, even comforting before sleep. But white bread is not harmless. It is refined carbohydrate stripped of fiber, packed with sugars that rush into your bloodstream. When you eat it in the evening, it spikes your insulin, inflames your arteries, and crushes your testosterone while you sleep. It robs your body of stability, leaving you weaker by morning. I have seen men cut out bread at dinner and watch their erections return with astonishing speed. It may sound simple, even unbelievable, but this one shift has changed lives. I remember Paulo, a 62-year-old who came to me convinced his body was failing him for good. He was eating late dinners, but the one thing he never suspected was the bread basket he shared with his wife every night. When I asked him to remove it, he laughed. "Doctor, bread? That's too small to make a difference." But 3 weeks later, he returned with a smile I will never forget. His strength had returned, his mornings were filled with energy, and he told me he felt like a man again. That is the hidden truth most people never realize. Sometimes the smallest habit carries the greatest damage. Now imagine yourself making that same change. Picture your dinners lighter, your nights calmer, your mornings stronger. Picture yourself reaching for your partner, not with hesitation, but with confidence, knowing your body will answer the call. This is not a fantasy. It is the reward for listening to your body and giving it what it truly needs. But here is where I must be very clear. Knowledge without action is useless. Tonight you have learned the truth. You know the enemies that steal your manhood, and you know the power of removing them. The choice is now yours. Will you continue down the path of frustration, of excuses, of silent decline? Or will you take control, starting tonight, and begin to build the vitality you thought was gone forever? Your body is waiting. Your arteries are waiting to be cleared. Your testosterone is waiting to rise. Your nerves are waiting to fire again with strength. And your partner, whether she speaks it or not, is waiting for the man she knows still lives inside you. You owe it to yourself, to your health, and to your dignity to make the change. As a doctor, I can tell you this: it is never too late. I have seen men in their 70s who thought all hope was gone turn their lives around. The human body is extraordinary in its ability to heal, but only when given the chance. Tonight, you have that chance. Choose wisely. So here is my final message to you. Stop eating the foods that steal your manhood at night. Stop letting bread, sugar, alcohol, and heavy meals rob you of your power. Begin making deliberate choices that restore blood flow, protect your hormones, and allow your body to serve you, not betray you. And if you doubt whether it will work, I ask you, what do you have to lose but the weakness you already feel? Now, before we close, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from, and if this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your story, your city, your voice, it all matters. And if you want to continue this journey with me, stay close, because in the next video, I will reveal not only what to avoid, but also the foods that actively build your erections stronger than ever. Until then, remember, your age does not define you, your choices do. And tonight, you hold the power to reclaim the strength, the passion, and the life that is still waiting for you.